Well, my dear followers, my dear viewers, good day to you. Today is Saturday. It's a beautiful day. At least it is here. I hope it is where you are. Today we're going to talk about, how our friends, the ENTJs, get a bad rap as these cold calculator type strategists that have a heart of stone. And we're going to try to, subvert this narrative to look at the nice little ENTJs. What does it mean for an ENTJ to have a heart of gold, and what does it mean for them, but especially what does it mean for other people, including maybe the population of INFJs? There are many to watch this channel, but other types as well. So if you're interested in looking at this revisionist history of the ENTJ, just stick around. Now, if you have an interest in the INFJ type and you haven't got my book, The Ecstatic Soul, which came out in 2021, well, get it. It's the authoritative book on the INFJ consciousness, at least the phenomenology of the INFJ, what it means to be an INFJ, a authoritative, qualitative account of being an INFJ. All the links are below, and there's going to be a sequel. Guys, do let me know if you would be interested in the idea of the book coming out in April instead of September. I want to know because it could be ready for release in April. Now, in the meantime, there's also The Infinite Castle, by the way, which I wrote in 2022. Get the book if it's a book of fiction, if you like Murakami, Kafka, Dostoevsky, and INFJ main characters' fictional approach to the INFJ personality. You might just find this wonderful. Get it too. Now, Patreon guys. You guys have not been supporting me very much on Patreon lately. I'm not talking about my current supporters, of course, that I infinitely thank, but don't forget that this really helps my channel. Okay, so link is below. Let's come back to the ENTJ. What does it mean for an ENTJ to be a very, very nice person? Well, first of all, I think that we need to realize that it would be unfair to expect of an ENTJ to be like an INFP or an ISFP or an ISFJ or an INFJ or an ENFP or an ENFJ or whatever you might want them to be. An ENTJ is always going to be someone who has a very objective, practical approach to the world, the management of resources, how to approach their goals. There's going to be something, there's going to be something that's tied to reality about them. And they're not necessarily going to be people that will have lots of patience with constant bickerings about life being unfair and that kind of thing. But at the same time, it is not true that the ENTJ always fits this narrative about them being cold-hearted sociopaths that sometimes comes across, in the literature and online videos. The fact of the matter is, just like for any other type, there is the happy ENTJ and the not so happy ENTJ. And we forget about that in our interests, in type, because when we're looking at types, we're often forgetting that there is a person behind the type. Now, we forget that there is a person behind the type because, first of all, because a type easily leads us to objectify reality, whereas in fact we're looking at people of flesh and blood that belong to a type family and identify with the type family. We're not talking about abstractions, but abstractions by definition tend to unilateral definitions. So that's one of the reasons. And the other reason is that it's always a little bit sexier, a little bit punchier to look at types and to discuss types through stereotypes, right? Because you can have nice slogans about, you can manipulate nice little slogans, you can have catchy video titles, and you can do all these things, and it's not going to encourage nuanced conversations. And persons, in all their dizzying diversity, are sorely in need of nuance that does justice to their personalities, to their characters, to everything that is uniquely them. And it applies to ENTJs, and we come to the conclusion that there is the happy kind of ENTJ, like there's the happy kind of anybody, and there's the sad kind. And it often turns out that you're going to meet nice ENTJs when they are happy, more likely than when they're sad. I think that when I say the sad ENTJ, I don't mean just like they're emotionally sad. I mean, the ENTJ that is just not very happy with life, that has a combative attitude to existence, more likely to see, this ENTJ is more likely to see life in terms of means and thinking and me against them people, and maybe they will use their cognitive resources, their TE and I resources particularly, to attain goals in disregard of other people. Other types do that too. ENTJs don't do that more than other types if they are negatively attuned kind of people. It's the main difference is probably that they are more cognitively equipped to manipulate world resources so as to impact other people. So the impact on other people will be more materially felt than it would be, if it was being spearheaded by, say, a negative ISFP, for instance. But it's still something that applies to all the types. And on the other hand, you have the positive ENTJ, the ENTJ that's people-oriented. And you'd be surprised by the fact that life coaches are often ENTJs. I mean, the stereotypical type for the life coach is the FE lead, mostly ENFJ, probably ESFJ too, but you'll have ENTJs as well in those vocations. They enjoy interacting with people. It's not the FE type of interaction with people. So usually the relationship will be regulated by a kind of objective relationship to the world. So the role of the ENTJ in this case will be to show you how to interact with the world so as to maximize your impact and maximize your contentment and satisfaction along different kinds of criteria. They will do so, nevertheless, in a way that is humanly perfectly normal and conducive to mutual enhancement. And they often be very effective, because sometimes what you do need is a reality test, a reality principle. You don't necessarily need coddling. And the ENTJ will often be a good person to talk to when it comes to realizing that, yes, you can do lots of things in the world, and you don't always need people to coddle you or people to be constantly encouraging you to do that. In a way, the ENTJ type is kind of telling you the world doesn't need to be intimidating. It's from a certain perspective, you can engage the world like you do anything else, and you have unexplored potentialities that are worth exploring if you want to achieve certain goals, if it is your intention to achieve certain goals. Maybe there's certain types of goals that are promoted are not for you, but maybe they are for you. Maybe they're not for you in a particular stage of life, and maybe they are for you in another stage of life. And in these situations, being able to take the ENTJ approach is going to be helpful, at least as a perspective. And like I said, there's a lot of very nice ENTJs, like there's a lot of very nice ENFJs, and there's also plenty of not so nice ENTJs, like there's plenty of not so nice ENFJs, INFJs, ISTPs, ESTJs, and all other kinds of types. So take advantage of having nice ENTJs in your life. That cannot hurt. And pay attention to the more mature ENTJs, because it will be instructive regarding integration of lower functions such as SE. SE is often integrated for ENTJs, but FI. An ENTJ with relatively well integrated FI is a very interesting person to interact with. Let me know in the comments what you think and if you've had experiences with ENTJs, and I will see you tomorrow, guys. Take care.